Hello and welcome to our Roundtable Discussion Group 2011. Thank you for spending some of your time with us. On with the show. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Tom is my name, and it is May 28th, Saturday, May 28th, 2011. Welcome to the Round Table Discussion Group Talk Show, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Sadly, the only person so far that has made an appearance for today's show is Janie. Janie, such a sweetheart. Welcome, Janie.
Well, thank you, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm always good.
Yeah, I like to tell people, if I was any better, they'd make a law against me. Most people tell me, I think they already did, Tom. So how was your week, Janie? Besides the cell phone, you've had some major cell phone issues this week, I understand. We're just real happy you're here today.
Well, for a while I didn't think I was going to be able to be, but it actually came through at the last minute, so that's a good thing. My week's been pretty good. No major issues. Everything went pretty smoothly this week, so I'm pretty happy.
That's awesome. Well, we're hoping to hear from Rob and Cisco, or Cisco and Rob, whichever way you want to look at it. I try to throw the names around, have to give equal billing there, So hopefully they'll be calling in shortly for whatever reason. They're late. Who knows? Might be something going on, because they're doing a lot of work lately on getting ready for these special Pride shows they're going to be doing for the month of June. Yeah, they've already talked with Tree. I know because I've edited the sound clip, but they're going to talk with him again. Tree, in case you don't know, is the bartender that is currently working at Stonewall and was working at Stonewall the night of the riots when they first started. So we'll have talks in the month of June where I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I think they're going to break it up into a couple different shows. But like I said, they still got to talk with Tree again. I believe they're going to an event that he's going to be at on the 1st. So I think that's when they're going to get to talk to him again. They also did an interview with a gentleman named Tyron Jem. He got nominated for the Out Music Awards, which Rob and Cisco attended Monday evening. So he's a awesome young musician in the New York area, and he's actually working on a documentary right now, film in support of marriage equality. You okay, Janie?
Oh, yeah, no, that was my dog.
Oh, okay.
my puppy's barking at the cat. Sorry.
No problem. I thought it was you for a minute. I'm going, oh, my God, did she pass?
No. I managed to keep the kids quiet, but unfortunately the dog, doesn't listen well.
Well, yeah, 6-7 months old dogs usually don't listen too well. Oh, my goodness. So anyway, let's see. And they're also going to be, in case y'all haven't checked out Queer Public Radio in the last few days, there's actually some pictures there. I think we posted 9 pictures on queerpublicradio.com, along with a short little paragraph that Rob and Cisco put together about their Out Music Awards session that they did Monday evening. Yeah, you can see Cisco in some of those pictures too. Mm-hmm. That's cool, because she's quite a dresser. He wears those glasses that kind of remind me of something Elton John would wear, But they're not rose-colored. No. More of a yellowish kind of typical yellow orangish kind of color. Those glasses that Cisco wears. But let's see here. So we're not sure who's going to be here today with us, Janie. It's just going to be one of those up in the air days. It's an open forum day, folks. So if anyone's got anything on their mind, which this would be the perfect day for it, because we did not, when we did our last show, we didn't specify a topic for this show. So that means today is like totally an open forum. So if you got something you want us to talk about or you want to mention or bring up, you're welcome to call into the show. You can call in by phone or Skype. If you're going to use the phone, the number is 301-TALK-GAY. Again, that's 301-TALK-GAY. If you want to call us on Skype, our Skype name is Gay Talk Radio. It's all stuck together like it's one word, Gay Talk Radio. You could text message us if you want. That's a different phone number. It is 9097-GAY-GAY. 9097-GAY-GAY for text messages. Of course, I'm in the chat room on queerpublicradio.com. Our friend George is in the chat room as well, from down in the Long Beach, California area. He attended Pride last Sunday. He called on last Sunday's summary show and told us a little bit about it. And he might be going to some of the events in Los Angeles or West Hollywood or some of that kind of stuff here in the near future. So who knows? I'm sure we'll be hearing more from George on that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, I'm just kind of like trying to buy time here, waiting for Rob and Cisco to call in. So I guess we ought to just. Janie, did you have anything on your mind for today?
Not anything specific. No, unfortunately.
No. I got to thank you again for bringing Ren onto the show last time. I thought that was a great show.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad she was able to do it.
Does she go by another name? Is that the only name she goes by? Is Ren?
As far as I know. As far as I know.
All right. Because I had someone join. I had someone join on Queer Public Radio that I thought maybe could have been Ren with hair.
Right.
But I didn't want to say, hey, are you Ren? Because she didn't use the name Ren. But I said, no, I better not. If that's her, I better let her say something to me. Otherwise, someone's going to say, oh, yeah, that's me. What do I get? Do I win a prize?
You win a guest spot on Queer Public Radio Roundtable. Congratulations.
Have you heard about what's going on with all this stuff with Minnesota and Tennessee?
Oh my goodness, no. What's going on?
Well, Tennessee is the sheer craziness. Minnesota kind of is. Minnesota's on really kind of light compared to what's going on in Tennessee. Minnesota, they've actually put it on the ballot for 2012. They're going to vote on putting a anti-gay marriage ban in their constitution.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, so the people.
These people are so short-sighted sometimes. I don't understand it.
But in Tennessee, they took it to a whole new level. In Tennessee, it's actually a law. Remember, I don't know if maybe you don't remember. It wasn't so many weeks ago we were talking about how Memphis, Tennessee, how they put a new city law into effect that anyone that does business, kind of like what they did in San Francisco. San Francisco has the same thing. Anyone that does business with the city has to have a non-discriminatory policy on file and in their company, and they can't discriminate against the LGBT community, which I think is pretty awesome. Yeah, but evidently in Tennessee, the legislature and governor and all those people in power got upset about it, and they passed this law basically stating that protected classes, quote unquote, are not necessarily in Tennessee protected classes. I mean, race, religion, and sex. It's like, according to this new law in Tennessee, are no longer protected classes, which, of course, completely contradicts federal law.
Yeah, how can they do that?
Yeah,
I don't see how they can legally.
No, there's already a lawsuit in the works because of that. Yeah, I can't believe they would do that either, because they gotta know that that's unconstitutional, Craziness. And not only that, but there was this, they tried to do it like with subterfuge, where they tried to say, because they have this group in Tennessee it's this corporate, it's like the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce group, and it has all these big corporations in it, like AT&T and Chase and oh goodness, I forget, there's about 10 of them in there. I don't have the stuff right in front of me right now, but they all wrote a letter to the legislation stating they were in full support of it. But evidently they didn't read the fine print. They just went with the quote-unquote publicity statement. Basically, that the legislator said this bill is about making all the laws equal throughout Tennessee, so that cities can't make laws that contradict state laws, which I think is hilarious, since the state law they've passed to do that contradicts federal law.
Yeah.
So it's like the state saying, you got to do what I say, not what I do.
I don't know.
And it's, as far as on the transgender side of this, there was actually a little piece in there that not only, they already have it in Tennessee where they won't change the birth certificate.
Yeah.
Well, now they've actually made it in this law that it's actually illegal to have a sex change in Tennessee.
Oh, sure, goodness. I don't. Again, I always say this when it comes to stuff like this, but I don't understand how people can be like that.
Yeah, I don't either. But it's Tennessee, so I guess we shouldn't be too shocked, huh?
Well, that's true. That's true.
I think it's kind of interesting that these states that seem to be most anti-gay are, for the most part, the same states that were racist.
Yeah. Well, they're only about 100 years behind the rest of the world, so does that surprise you?
Oh, goodness gracious. Not really. But yeah, what was interesting though about that Tennessee Chamber of Commerce, once the bill was passed and the governor signed it, because that's all done, it's all a done deal already. They got this. It's funny how fast the legal system moves when it's something they want to do.
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, we have to wait forever for something to be passed.
Yeah. Same in the court system. It seems like. It moves faster for some.
Right. I don't know.
Yep, not only did they... I just think it's crazy, that they removed... that said these classes aren't allowed to be protected in Tennessee when it's already under federal law that they're protected classes. So that's just totally strange to me that they would even pass such a law knowing that it completely contradicts federal law. It's kind of like, it reminds me of the corporation thing when I did the article one time about how the corporations will actually do a feasibility study on if they're going to break the law, and do something. Are they going to make enough money, more money than it's going to cost them in fines? Because if they are, they're going to go for it, kind of thing, It's the same mentality.
Yeah, it pretty much sounds like it too.
Yeah, it really does. It's totally craziness. So that last show we had, in case y'all missed our last roundtable show, it's basically about depression, bipolarism, that kind of topic. And Ran was with us. Was a friend of Janie's that she met on Facebook in a support group there that's called Never Alone on Facebook. And ever since that show, I've been mentioning it on every show. Never Alone, folks. If check it out because that's evidently an awesome resource. It's made a hell of a difference in Janie's life, huh, Janie? Uh-oh. You still there, Janie?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem. I figured either your cell phone tower fell down or the kids were screaming and yelling or something.
Yeah, no, my 3-year-old was screaming for me. I apologize. I was kind of listening to what you said, though. I swear I was.
No, don't worry about it. I was just telling everybody how that Never Alone group on Facebook was so awesome for you.
Yes, it was. It's been a big help.
And that group's all for... Is anyone having any kind of issues, or just basically bipolar, depression, those kind of things?
Pretty much any kind of issues. There's a lot of different psychological issues that are dealt with. It can be anything from just somebody having a rough day. And it's always a good thing to hear good things that are going on in people's lives too.
Yep.
If,
So, folks,
has anything inspirational to say, by all means.
I think it's awesome because, it used to be years ago that people used to pay big bucks, to go have group therapy. And now you can get it for free online. And there's a perfect example.
Yep. It's actually, it's really nice because you don't have to leave the comfort of your own house either.
That's totally, totally awesome. So don't forget, folks, it's called Never Alone. It's over on Facebook. Just go on Facebook, do a search for Never Alone, and you'll find a whole wonderful peer group there of people that are, they're there for you. Everyone's there for each other, evidently, and they all try to cheer everybody up, and I think that's an awesome thing.
Yeah, we have around 2,500 members, so
wow,
definitely a lot of people there.
Goodness, I bet you could go there any time of the day probably and find.
Okay. Oh, you definitely could. There's people from all over the world. We have people from Australia, people from the United Kingdom, all over the world.
Oh, well, that brings up a whole interesting concept of how different countries handle, similar diagnosis.
Right.
Because you never know. America doesn't always have it right, folks.
What do you mean? Come on, we're perfect. You know this. Look at the way we treat our people. Come on.
Oh, yes. The love is oozing at all seams.
Can't you feel it?
Yeah,
a mudslide of love.
Yeah, a mudslide of love, yeah. Right. That's a mudslide.
Take away your house, your car, wash out your road, knock down telephone poles. It's a mudslide of love.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole, yeah. Now that's a whole nother way of looking at it. Oh, let's see. What do you think about this weather we've been having lately? The tornadoes and, I keep saying to myself, okay, all you people keep telling yourself, no, we're not having global warming. No, everything's wonderful.
Oh, no, it definitely has to do with global warming, I think, definitely. It's just absolutely nuts. We had tornado warnings for almost 2 days in a row up here.
Whoa.
We never get those.
Wow. Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Janie is way, way upstate New York.
Like I said before, I'm the first line of defense if Canada ever decides to invade.
All right, so folks, we got nothing to worry about. Janie's over there with her hard hat on.
Yep, I'll just show them a little bit of leg and confuse the heck out of them.
Oh, my. Oh, that's too funny. I can't believe Rob and Cisco are no shows today. That is just a shocker for me. Oh, let's see here. What else did we have happen this week that was kind of like up there that really freaked me out? I'm going to pull up some of my show notes here.
Well, maybe you could do me a favor. Maybe you could shed a little bit of light on this "don't say gay" policy that one of these states has on the book.
That's the Tennessee thing, and that's in Tennessee also.
Oh, is that the same thing?
No, it's not the same thing. This thing that's actually happened in Tennessee now is different. That "don't say gay" thing is a whole other issue that's still on the books that they're still thinking about and working on, and that has to do with the schools.
Okay, so now they're controlling freedom of speech. Excellent. That's sounds like a sound constitutional right there.
Well, what's interesting about it is the fact that they zero in on homosexuality. And it's like they're basically in the "don't say gay" thing. They're saying that before the 9th grade, they don't want anything mentioned about homosexuality. They don't say, because they put it forward on the idea that they don't want to talk about sex, with kids below 9th grade. They're talking here, and but that's not the deal. The law states that they can't talk about homosexuality only. So basically, it's okay if they talk about heterosexual sex before the 9th grade. It's just not okay to talk about homosexual sex.
So all these people who are, curious about their sexuality because they're having different feelings aren't going to learn anything about sexuality, basically, or about alternate sexuality. So they're just basically, allowing the confusion to continue.
Yeah, well, it's a form of bullying, if you ask me. I mean, because there we get back to that pariah thing, I mean, it's one thing to, to say you can't talk about it. It's a whole other thing to avoid it like it's a hot potato or something. It's a pariah. We can't talk about that because that's a bad, nasty, terrible thing, and we just don't talk about those kind of things. So that in other words, the absence of even mentioning it puts a dark cloud over it.
Yeah, well, it would make it. I use this term all the time. I'm sorry, but it would make it taboo. I mean, it would make it something that, even the people who are feeling this way, it would just strengthen the negativity around it.
I don't know. To me, it's totally backwards.
I'm at a loss for words.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Because, I mean, I whenever we discuss schools and we discuss this whole thing around bullying and everything, I always got to bring up that we already have an example of the difference that this makes in schools. Over in London, England, 6 or so years ago, they had this terrible, terrible problem of bullying in this school. And so what they did is just change the lesson plan. That's all they did was change the lesson plan, and they started talking openly about homosexuals in history and society and, the contributions and this and that about different people that maybe even were thought to be homosexual and blah, 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 blah. In other words, giving an open, honest, non-censored education. After 5 years, they had no more bullying problem in that school.
Well, it almost seems to me that Tennessee is actually trying to get the bullying going.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, they're promoting ignorance, and again, that's gonna cause bullying. It seems like they want to focus on their LGBT community, excuse me, and try to drive them to heterosexuality. Like that's ever going to happen.
Well, I'll take it a whole nother level, and it's going to be real nasty sounding. But I think, quite frankly, they could care less if homosexuals get killed or bullied or commit suicide or whatever, because they're homosexuals after all.
Right. Well, I can see another riot coming to pass down there or over there. for me, that is. And it'll be something that they pretty much asked for.
Yeah.
Because people aren't going to stand still. They're not going to stand still for it. You're going to have people from, halfway across the country coming just to make a statement that what they're doing is wrong and it's inhumane. It's against our constitutional rights. And again, it's against, United States policies. The Supreme Court's going to get involved in this one way or another, whether they know it or not.
Yeah, and it might end up backfiring on them, these kind of things, especially. I think these kind of draconian, crazy laws like this coming out speaks a lot to the desperation. I mean, it was even just this last couple of weeks, it was Focus on the Family, which is a very anti-gay organization. Basically, the leader of that Focus on the Family outfit said, we've lost the fight on marriage. So he's kind of basically just thrown up his hands, saying, well, the gays won, and I'm like, oh, poor baby.
Gee, where's the fun in that?
Mm-hmm. Come on.
Like the Cowardly Lion. Come on, put up your dukes.
Yeah, right. I'll fight you with one hand tied behind my back.
Oh, wait, that was from a different show. Never mind.
Right, leave the pornos out of it.
You never let me have any fun.
Oh, my goodness. That's too funny. Yeah, so anyway, that whole thing with the don't say gay thing that's going on in Tennessee is still up in the air. There's no, confirmation and result on that yet. It's still pending.
Right.
I guess.
These are the same states that also bring you the creationist theory that they want taught in schools.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to back themselves up. I mean, it's fine if you teach it in school. I don't have a problem with that. But you got to teach the other theories to go along with it, so that the person has, information to make their own conscious decision. You can't just keep cramming stuff down people's throats.
They've actually changed the wording now because evidently creationist has got such a nasty ring to it these days. They're now using the term intelligent design.
Oh. These people and their political correctness, I don't understand. It's just...
What I think is crazy is that they get away with crap like that. I'm sorry for my language, but it upsets
by all
me.
means.
It upsets me, that these people, they can just change a word or something, and all of a sudden, they're still pushing the same thing, but by changing the word, so many people buy in. Oh, this is something new.
Yes, intelligent design. Sounds like I'm building a house.
That's so much different than creationism. Yeah, that's what it is, intelligent design. So I guess there's no pride stuff going on up there by you that you're going to be attending?
No, definitely not. We're pretty much like Tennessee up here. We're a completely different neighborhood from New York City, unfortunately. It's pretty sad, because there is a for the population size, there's a rather substantial LGBT community up here.
Mm-hmm.
But to my knowledge, they never really get together and rally or join parades or anything. At least not that I've seen in 6 years that I've been up here now. Wow.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Well, to each their own, I always say. But that's a... I always wondered, because you said that's cattle country up there.
Yes.
So I'm thinking when the winter comes, I guess, they put them all in barns?
Yeah, for the most part.
Because I would think,
outside. You never see them out in the field, and they spend the whole day in the barn.
Wow. But these are like, they're Jersey cows, most of them, right?
Right.
the polka dot looking, black and white looking things.
Yes, yes.
And but they're for milk primarily.
Yes, yep,
Oh,
yep.
okay, milk cows. All right.
Though I do live less than a mile away from a rendering plant.
Oh, see, now there goes
Which,
another one of those new names.
Yes, yes, yes. They chop up poor horses for dog food, which is kind of disgusting in my book. But dogs have to eat too, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, the rendering house, huh? See, we used to call them a slaughterhouse when I was.
Yeah, that's what it was called until this new company took it over. Now it's a rendering plant.
Yes, that makes it all so much better. Yeah.
Well, of course. On that note, I got to tell you a quick little story. One of my best friends up here, her husband got a job there, which I could never do. And they actually told him, they said, if your stomach is strong enough and you can handle what goes on in here, we'll move you from being a driver they'll move him onto the slaughtering floor. That just gives you a brief hint of how much just ew
Yeah.
that goes on in that plant. I could never do it.
Oh yeah.
I love animals too much.
I hear you. I know. I saw. What was it? A video I saw. I think it was on YouTube, and it said something like, if the walls of the slaughterhouses were see-through, everyone would be vegetarian.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've seen some of the reports on the KFC, on Kentucky Fried Chicken, on the abuse for the animals there and all that kind of stuff that goes on,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's just pure craziness. I think we all get too bought in, we get too. It's like we're indoctrinated, from childhood on this kind of stuff. I mean, there's very few people,
Oh, yeah. Yep. Well, anything that the company can do, any corners that any company can use to cut costs, they're going to. And if it's inhumane, they don't care because they're not humans.
Yeah.
So apparently they don't have feelings, or they don't feel fear, they don't feel pain like we do, which is horse. Add your expletive.
Yeah, well, yeah. The bottom line is they're a corporation, and that's a whole issue here. Is the whole corporate mindset that it's all about the bottom line.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
And
that's
unfortunately,
it's profit.
for the most part, it seems like our government is a corporation also.
Oh, it is. Even states. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day. I said most of these cities we look at are not, the old home rule stuff is out now. Most of them are incorporated cities.
Right.
So I mean, even the cities are basically corporations. I mean, that just seems to be, if you're not a corporation anymore, then you're like the rest, working class poor stiffs that are paying the bulk of everything. It's the people that open up their corporations or incorporate or limited liability or whatever that get all the breaks and all the write-offs and all this kind of stuff. That it's kind of backwards. It seems backwards to me that the corporations get all the benefits and gimmies of society when the working class, the people that actually is where the vast bulk of money comes from, that it's just amazing that they get the short end of the stick.
Right. Well, they don't take the payoffs either, like the corporations do.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's how the majority of these laws get passed, is through payoffs. I mean, that's where this whole, Department of Environmental Conservation, point system comes from when it comes to toxic waste. Each factory or each company has a certain amount of points that they have to get rid of toxic waste or waste runoff or whatever into the streams, into the rivers, and they can sell those points to companies that use more.
Really?
Yes.
I imagine this is for the air pollution too, not just river, but air pollution as well, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Any kind of pollution, they have pollution points, basically.
Wow.
And they are allowed to sell them to another company. Like if say I have 5 points, I use 2, I can sell you 3. so that you don't get a fine by the DEC for overpolluting.
Wow. Yeah,
Yep.
those shouldn't be transferable. Definitely.
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't.
Yeah, because I mean, basically, a company that's making a lot of money, got a lot of money, they can buy up all the points from all the, highest bidder.
Yep. Sorry, pushed my daughter.
I mean, it'll probably get to the point where, some of these places, they don't even have to, sell their product. They can just sell their points,
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, because there are companies out there that'll pay, through the teeth for something like that, just so they can pollute a little bit more.
Yeah.
Not intentionally, but because their product that they're creating creates so much pollution that, that in order to keep operating, they have to be able to pollute.
Mm-hmm.
And that just doesn't seem right to me. How many animals? I mean, we're paying for it ourselves in the food that we eat. Like I was mentioning to you the other day with canned tuna fish. Where they tested like 4 major brands of canned tuna fish to find higher than the safe amount of mercury in canned tuna fish. That's all because of these corporations dumping.
Yeah, no. Did you ever see that movie, The Cove?
No.
It was about dolphins.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's so sad. It actually won the Academy Award for the top documentary 2 years ago, I believe. It might have been last year, but I think it was 2 years ago. And it's this guy that was actually the trainer for Flipper.
Yes.
He was a trainer for Flipper. There was more than one Flipper, but the primary Flipper was actually his pet. And he had a little fenced-in water area by the dock, by this place that he lived, where he kept Flipper. And he said that the day that his whole mindset changed on it was because he explains in the I don't know if I read it or it was actually I think it was actually in the movie that the breathing of those kind of animals is not involuntary. It's voluntary. They have to actually go to the surface and open their hole and breathe. And
right.
So it's something that they have to consciously do is breathe. So that means they can commit suicide. They can freaking not breathe and commit suicide. And that's what the Flipper did in his arms. Swam into his arms and committed suicide by not breathing.
Oh, geez.
Because it was so depressed. Because that they are social animals that travel many, many miles every day when they're out in the free, in the open, and they in these little pods or packs or whatever they're called, and they're social, and they travel, and it's when you pen them up like that, they get depressed, which makes perfect sense,
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he didn't know that he didn't know that until Flipper committed suicide in his arms, and ever since then he became a dolphin activist. And this whole documentary called The Cove is about him going to Japan in this certain area, and they have this annual traditional dolphin killing thing they do in this cove. And that's why the movie's called The Cove. And oh my God, they don't let foreigners in there or come in, and no camera crews or news people and all that. So what they did is him and some people snuck in there at night, and they put these cameras, hidden cameras. They had like fake rocks looking things with cameras in them and all this different kind of stuff that they put out there because they knew they were going to have that dolphin kill thing go on. And they had all these cameras there and everything. Oh my goodness. That brought tears to my eyes. I mean, the water turned red.
Oh, jeez.
From them beating these animals over the head with oars and not even killing them, and them, the animals just, got brain damage and they swam up to the shore kind of thing, because they didn't even know what direction they were going and died. And they slaughter like a lot of dolphins. And then they take the meat and give it to the schools and whatnot to feed the children, and then they have all these birth defects and stuff because of the mercury levels that you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
It's a movie that really brings a lot to light as far as that kind of stuff, because I mean we got the same thing that kind of goes on up here, except it's usually we got the Indian, indigenous population up here, and there's a reservation, and they
Inuits, aren't they?
I'm not sure what they got a couple different kinds up here. Okay. I don't think it's just one. I think they got a couple different kinds of Indian reservations, but the ones that are out there on the coastline, they have this tradition of killing a whale every year.
Yes.
And of course, those are.
I've heard of this.
Yeah. But they don't do it the old school way. They're not going out there and harpooning it and blah blah blah. They're going out there with the 50 caliber or something like that and shooting it or whatever. And then they bring the whale in, and they community thing. But supposedly they only do one a year, so I guess that's not too bad. But because this cove thing, that was it was terrible, the amount of dolphins that they butchered in that whole thing. That was I was in shock. But they say it's their tradition and blah blah blah. So that cove kind of highlights the whole thing and gives them a lot of media attention that they didn't want over that whole thing. I don't know, that tradition. Yeah, great. That it doesn't, just because it's always been so doesn't mean it needs to remain so. Just my personal opinion.
No, I not your personal opinion. Believe me, I agree with it completely. Pretty soon we're going to come to a point where we need to start treating the world right, or it's going to wind up going away on us. It already is to some extent. Again, you brought up all the storms, the freak storms and stuff that are going on, the more severe storms, and that's all part of global warming.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about this years ago.
Yep.
And it's just going to continue getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's a shame. It really is a shame that that we got to fuss and fight over everything, and in the meantime, the problem continues. With so many things.
Hold on one second. I'm sorry.
Oh, got a hot date pulling up, huh? Janie's got some. Come on, girlfriend, let's go to lunch.
No, she loves playing in the car. Well, the problem is that she beeps the horn all the time.
Oh, I thought you had a hot date pulling up. I thought you were getting lucky there for a minute.
Oh, I wish. No. That would be nice. I could use that today.
We got to find you somebody, Janie. Someone that doesn't mind 3 kids going out on a date with you.
There you go. That would be really nice.
So if anyone's in upstate New York and they want to meet Janie and you don't mind 3 kids going to dinner with you on your first date or whatever, let us know. We'll put you in contact with her.
No. I'd find a babysitter. Are you kidding?
Would you? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. 3 kids don't come in at least until the second date.
Oh, that's the second date. Okay. That's too funny. Oh, let's see here. What other kind of weird news did we have this last? Did you hear about what's going on in Texas?
No, I didn't. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't get much news up here either.
Oh, that's right. You don't have the internet. You don't have no cable. You just watch.
No, we get Canadian channels, so.
Oh my goodness, are they French?
Some of them are.
Wow. Yeah, because I thought mostly the east coast of Canada was mostly French, but wow.
No, further north here is.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, Texas is just talking about crazy state laws. Texas is considering passing a law that in Texas that it will be illegal to grope passengers that are going to fly on a plane. In other words, they're trying to make it a law saying that the TSA can't, grope passengers that are going to be going on a plane. So if they like deny, because I don't know if it's down there or if it's everywhere or what, but from what I heard, you have a choice nowadays. You can either go through the X-ray machine, which people worry causes cancer, and I would sure if you were a frequent flyer, I would think that's a definite concern. If I was a frequent flyer, I'd get me one of those little things on my pocket that the X-ray technicians wear that changes colors when you had too much exposure.
Yeah.
I mean, that looks like an answer to me. But anyway, because I don't want to be groped and all that crap. But Texas is trying to pass a law saying they can't grope them or anything like that, and that they'll be arrested if they do. So the feds are saying, if you do that, then, we're going to establish a no-fly zone over Texas where none of your flights will be able to come to any other part of the United States.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
well, that'll pick off a lot of people, won't it?
Yeah, boy, I'm like, go Texas, you dumbasses. They haven't passed the law yet. They're just considering it. But they're trying to say that all they need the federal government to do is provide them with legal justification that they can grope people like that, which sounds kind of silly to me. But,
Right.
yeah, I mean, hello. Yeah, the first time someone gets on a plane from Texas with a bomb or something, that whole mindset would probably change real quick.
Oh, definitely.
Or a box cutter or a knife or whatever, some kind of weapon. That whole mindset would probably change. But they're thinking about it in Texas.
Sure.
Yep, they're thinking about it down there. So that's that. I thought that was kind of an interesting story because only in Texas. But there's another story out of Texas that I read about. Let's see, what was that one? It was about a transgender person who married a fireman. And this is a different story because there was two of these stories within the last 6 months. So I got kind of confused because I had to do some research because I was like, I think I've already heard this story. And actually there was two different stories. There was a story where a female, I think it was a female, whatever gender they were. The other person was the opposite gender when they got married. So they had the legal opposite gender, quote unquote, heterosexual marriage. After they were married, there was a sex change on one of the partners. And then that wasn't the fireperson, the fireman or firewoman, whatever. And the fireperson got killed in the line of duty. And the family tried to say, hey, well, your marriage isn't legal. And that one never held water. But now there's a similar story in Texas. I'm not sure. I don't think the first one was in Texas. But this one's in Texas where this was a person who actually was transgender when they were dating previously, when it was actually male, because the fireman was a male. And then the partner did the transgression, moved over, transformation, whatever. I'm not using the right word, sorry, but it's then now the fireman died, and the family is like saying, well, your marriage isn't legal, and the judge has actually said their marriage isn't legal. So here the partner's going to be as it stands right now, according to the most recent judgment. I haven't heard if it's going to be appealed or not. The partner, or which they were legally married, is basically out in the cold. Gets nothing because the judge has said they weren't legally married.
Right. That's.
It got nasty. The family even said that he didn't know. The husband didn't know. The fireman didn't know. Their son, didn't know that this person was male before. And which, of course, she says, which is crazy because he went to my parents' house with me, met my parents, saw pictures of me as a little boy, and knew damn well I was a boy. We were, when we first started dating, I was a boy, and the family side said, oh, no, they didn't start dating until, the transformation, and And he always thought it was a woman, and he was outraged when he found out that she used to be a guy. And so it's like now he's dead. Of course, there's no one there.
But you can't retort anything.
Right. So basically,
sounds to me like the family was more outraged when they found out than he was.
Yep, I think so. Because it just doesn't. The story doesn't add up.
Right. Yep.
It doesn't add.
Well,
up.
that just goes to show you my stand on everything. Brutal honesty, especially when you're transgender. With the person and with the family, and that way you can't. Nobody can come back and say, "Well, you lied to me about this or that or the other thing."
Yeah, it's kind of a
shame. It doesn't pay to hide anything.
Yeah, it's almost like you got to videotape it. You might need proof in court.
Right. Go to a lawyer, get a marriage contract brought up, in which you state you were either male or female at birth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Put it all on. That's a whole nother, which is crazy. Because that's what our community has to do currently under the way the present laws are and everything. Is basically you have to pay all this extra money. For legal paperwork and whatnot, to have a lawyer draw up all this crap that's all automatic in a heterosexual marriage.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I've heard of people paying like $20,000 to lawyers to have all this legal paperwork done and blah, 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 blah. And I mean, even that case in Florida where the one partner died, and they refused, the hospital in Florida refused to accept. They spent all these big bucks on all these medical power of attorneys, and they had it all, and the hospital wouldn't recognize it, wouldn't let her or the kids see it, so that her partner died in a hospital in Florida, which they were going there to go on a cruise, and her partner had an aneurysm, I believe it was, and died in the hospital without ever seeing her children or her partner again.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm. There was a big lawsuit over that. I don't remember their names right off the top of my head, but yeah, it was a bad deal.
Sometimes I think children should just run the world, to be honest with you, because children know what love is. Children, don't know gender. They don't know politics. They just know love.
Mm-hmm.
And generally their love is unconditional, and that's what we should be able to keep as adults. Unfortunately, we lose it somehow and somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It almost seems like selfishness creeps in. I think that's kind of selfishness and greed kind of go hand in hand, and I think that's like, a good portion of it is related, to all that, because it's sad to me. It's like this guy on Facebook, a friend of mine on Facebook, and he posts this, like, it seems like he posts this little paragraph once every week, and people have actually chastised him for doing it so often, and I said, no, you keep doing it, Dwayne. Dwayne is his name. But he's a vet, and he's saying, here we have people starving in the streets, we have vets not getting the medical care they need, we have an economy in the dumpster, we have, all these things getting cut here and there, and we're sending billions of dollars out of our nation to go help other countries and stuff.
Right. The help should be home first.
Mm-hmm.
We should be, I mean, yeah, I understand humanitarian aid, but holy crap, half this, we lose so many people to hunger. We're not a third world nation. We shouldn't have people going hungry. Mm-hmm. Even homeless people. We shouldn't have homeless people.
Right. Yeah.
And yet we do.
We need to take care of all the problems here at home first, and then if anything's left over, then we can start helping others, because that's BS, total BS.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%.
I mean, we're already a member of that World Bank thing, where the UN runs it, and every country pays into it, and it depends on their gross product as to how much they have to pay it. They're actually required. Every country that's a member country of the United Nations, depending on their gross domestic product on an annual basis, depends on how much money they have to deposit into that bank every year that the United Nations uses to help these other third world countries and stuff. And I'm thinking, and we're giving money to the countries on the side separately besides that. So we're already paying into the community over here that's supposed to be doing all this crap, and we're doing it on the side too. And it doesn't make sense.
And yet we owe billions upon billions of dollars to other countries.
Yep. And how many times have we heard about in those countries that because the people pocketing the money are taking some misappropriation of funds, like they like to say. That's just.
Yep.
I mean, that's the whole thing's going on in Florida right now. With the HIV and AIDS people down there that they can't get their medications. And now there's some investigation going on regarding misappropriation of funds in that department. That people stealing money from that fund when people's lives are depending on this medication. I'm thinking, oh my God,
Wow.
So if they'll do stuff like, I mean, it's I don't know. It's almost like to me, it's like, well, they'll just, here we go again. Well, it's just those homosexuals anyway. The vast majority of them, those are acceptable losses.
Yep. People just don't understand. We've lost compassion somewhere.
Yeah, that's for sure.
No?
Or I think lots of people still have it, but not enough.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still people out there enough to give us, maybe a little hope. Speaking of which, we're at the halftime. It's halftime. Woo!
We made it halfway through the show. Yay!
Yeah, and Robin Cisco still haven't called in. I tell you, some people. I'm sure I'll hear a good excuse.
I could say something right now, but I won't.
Oh my! Okay, so I'm gonna play this short little song. That's actually a 5-minute song by Emily Nyman and Lynn Berry, two wonderful women, partners, lovers, up in the New England states. With wonderful voices. And we'll come back in about 5 minutes. Okay, Janie?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, folks. Well, here is a song by Emily and Lynn called Give Me a Dream.
Survive. The sons have died, mothers have cried, and we up to a sky that is wide. I reach for you, you're by my side. I am the lucky one. There is no pain. We can run through a warm September rain. And with the homecoming with my beloved next to me. Oh, these are my hopes and my dreams. Oh, these are my hopes and my dreams. Without them, I'll come apart at the seams. So give me a dream where I live to grow old and Father's return to protect us from the cold, and living in peace is free. Oh, give me a dream where I live to grow old and lovers return, and I have someone to hold, someone to care for me. Oh, give me a dream. Well, give me a dream. Well, give me a dream. Well, give me a dream.
Oh my goodness gracious! I wasn't paying attention. Sorry about that. You there, Janie? We're back. Oh, see, I wasn't the only one. Cool.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
See, one of the benefits of being on a cell phone is I have it with me all the time.
Oh, that's right. You can. Oh, yes, you can go everywhere.
Or do anything.
Oh my God! Yeah. Oh goodness gracious! So, that's my coffee in the background. It's just now coming out. So anyway, let's see. Over here in Seattle, we actually had sunshine this morning for about 10 minutes, but it disappeared shortly thereafter, and it's been overcast, and it currently is still overcast.
Oh, not here. I have tons of sun.
Really?
Yeah, it was overcast this morning, but it's really nice right now.
I know Cisco and Rob were telling me the other day it was like 80 degrees there, and they were like, oh, I don't want to turn on the air conditioner. I was like, wow, well, I hate to tell you this, but it's 54 here, and I go, you're an asshole.
Oh, I never complain about warm weather. Are you kidding? I hate cold weather.
And you live up there?
What's that?
I said you hate cold weather, but you live up, like, next to Canada.
I know. Well, it's just because I don't know anybody down in Florida.
Your kids would love Florida, I bet.
Oh, I'm sure they would. Actually, I'm thinking of Arizona.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Yuck, that's a terrible state.
Really?
Well, as far as, equality kind of stuff, yeah, Arizona's,
Oh, well, yeah.
yeah, not, Nevada maybe.
Well, Nevada would be nice too.
Yeah, I mean, it's practically right next door there, and it's got more of an equality-minded leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they just passed a new law in Nevada not too long ago for something about trans equality,
Oh,
non-discriminatory.
well, definitely Nevada. That's
Yeah.
my target. But see, I was thinking geologically because my son is really into geology
Mm-hmm.
or archaeology, and there's just a lot of college-run digs, like fossil digs and stuff down there. So
Ah.
yeah, I thought it would be really fun for him. Plus,
Yeah.
it's a dry heat.
Yeah, right.
But that's so many years off right now. Even just moving out of state is so many years off right now. It's nothing but a pipe dream.
Yeah, because that would be a major issue for you, I'm sure, moving to another state. You'd have to, lots of paperwork, huh?
Yeah, well, we've talked about it. So, she knows it's a possibility.
I kind of liked your Oregon idea there that you had not too long ago when you mentioned Oregon.
Yeah. Oregon would be nice. Yes, there's Oregon, as far as I understand, is one of the most, trans-supportive states out there. Or at least certain areas of it are. Like around Portland, supposed to be really, really good.
Yeah, I think, well, as far as equality, period, Oregon's pretty much... but they got some weird laws down there. I was thinking about, relocating to the Oregon area one time, and then I heard they have a law down there about, and I don't know how old it is. I don't know if it's 5 years or 10 years or what, but if you own a vehicle that's older than that, you can't even register it in that state.
Well, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah, I know I would too.
See, my car's in really good shape. I own a 2000 Ford Explorer. It's in really good shape. Oh my God, but it eats so much gas right now. So I just can't see myself getting rid of it.
I hear you. I can't. Yeah, I would love to get rid of my older vehicles, but yeah, that takes money to do that.
Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm. Especially nowadays. Goodness gracious, what vehicles cost nowadays? You could buy a house.
Oh, definitely. And God forbid you want to go with something like one of the hybrid cars.
Oh, yeah, really. Yeah, I would think hybrid nowadays, unless you're one of those people that trade a car in every 2 or 3 years, hybrid is not not the way to go probably.
No. Well, the batteries on those God, if you have to replace a battery, you're going to need a bank loan.
Yeah, well, exactly, and we all know batteries.
It's expensive.
Yeah, and they only last 3 years in most cases, most batteries. So
yeah, from what I'm reading, yeah, right about there.
Yeah, so if you had to replace that whole, how many ever battery packs they got in that hybrid, that's a lot of batteries. That's a lot of money.
Oh yeah. No, I'm going to get myself a little smart car. Have you seen those things?
Oh, God, you're crazy. That's crazy.
Things, they look like an egg.
There ain't room in one of those for 3 kids.
Well, that's why I threatened to strap them to the bumper if they're really bad.
Oh, yeah, right. You can get a luggage rack on top and just...
Yep. Oh, yeah. One of those the tortoise shell carriers. Yeah, I'm good.
Throw them in there.
But they're baby safe. When you pulled over, just don't make a noise.
I've seen those things, and I was thinking, oh, my God, if someone ran into you, like if that accident you had, if you were driving one of those, you wouldn't be here, honey.
Oh, no, I know. No, I see them driving around up here all the time, and I'm like, oh, my God, those are ugly. I mean, they're so ugly, they're cute. But they're only 2-seaters, so...
I mean, they're just, it's crazy. I just think that, to me, you might as well get a bicycle with one of those little electric motors on it, you know? I mean,
Yep. A little moped.
yeah, a moped. There you go.
Yep.
You know, because, I mean, you aren't any more protected in that thing. The only nice thing about those things is, you know, they probably got air conditioning and heat and all that. So at least you can be out of the weather and comfortable inside there. But, yeah, that's, I've seen those driving around here too. And I'm just like, no way. I got to have something around me so when that idiot runs into me, you know, I might live. You know?
Right.
But they are, yeah, you are right. You know, they're kind of cute in their own way.
Right.
It kind of reminds me of a special I saw not too long ago about how they're, you know, they envisioned a future like they were using, I think, New York City as like a, you know, it could be any big city basically, but they were saying, you know, we'd have like parking rides at the outskirts, you know, at the perimeter of the cities, and then they would have like those little kind of cars like that, like those little smart cars, but it would all be computer controlled. And there wouldn't be no taxis or anymore. You'd have all these little smart cars running around, and you just get in there and punch the address you want, and it takes you there. And it's all, you know, the computer controlled, you know, and people movers and stuff. No, actually, people-driven vehicles would be allowed into city limits. You would have all these little computer-controlled little smart cars running around, you know, taking people here and there.
Oh wow. I don't know if I'd put my put all my eggs in one basket, having something computer controlled, because with all the viruses and everything out there.
Oh, I hear you.
No, thank you.
But you know, I've been on like in Vancouver, Canada, and even in at DFW Airport in Texas. They have those, you know, those light rail kind of looking things, or little shuttles or whatever, and they're all computer controlled.
Really?
Yeah. They don't have people driving them. Even that one in Vancouver, that whole, you know, and that's their major system up there.
Sorry, hit a button.
That's okay. That's their major system up there. You know, it's a above ground light rail, and then when it gets into the city, it becomes a subway. It goes underground, and that goes to all the outlying cities and blah 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 blah. And it's all computer controlled.
Huh.
Of course, they aren't on a track, you know. It's not like, you know.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a little different, but yeah, it's not like they have, you know, intersections and stuff they got to deal with, or police cruisers or emergency vehicles or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. You know, I mean that sounds like, you know, yeah, that whole computer controlled thing, like you say, you know, one glitch and oops.
Yeah. Oh, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, no, Cisco and Rob were telling me that that you know, the subway system, and that also becomes a light rail system, and in New York, the transit system, there's actually still, you know, people driving those things.
Right.
Which I thought was kind of bizarre in this day and time.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I know the one in Vancouver is totally awesome, you know, totally computer controlled, you know. You can sit all the way in the front or all the way in the back or whatever. There ain't nobody driving. It's all little computer voice comes out and tells you the next stop and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think you know, the automation is a good thing. Of course, you know, the other downside of that is the fact that, you know, then that's people could have a job, you know. that a computer took away. You know?
Yep. Well, you're going to see more and more of that too going on. People losing their jobs to computers.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially nowadays, I freaked out. You know, when a friend of mine I was talking to not too long ago has one of those new Evo phones. You know, and that's I mean, he can talk to it and it types. You know, when he wants to send a text message, or he wants to answer an email, or he wants to call someone or whatever, he don't got to push no buttons. He just talks to the phone and it does it.
I think I can download something for my phone that does that too.
No, imagine. Well, isn't yours an Evo?
No, mine's it's that BlackBerry clone.
Oh, that's right. You got the BlackBerry thing.
Yeah, but it has a lot of voice activated features, and I'm pretty sure, like my search engine is all voice operated.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even when he gets a text, it'll read it out. A voice will read the text to him.
Wow.
So, well, he loves it because the guy can't type. So,
yeah. Well, I imagine it would be good for people who can't see, also.
Oh yeah, big time, or handicapped people or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Well, you have that whole macular degeneration thing too. I have a friend who's going through that, and that's horrible. And at least that gives them some semblance of normalcy. Being able to send and receive text messages and emails and stuff that they otherwise wouldn't be able to.
Yeah. George is telling me in the chat room that the trams at JFK Airport are also computerized.
Right.
Yeah, he says he has the Evo. He says sometimes the voice stuff isn't always accurate. And I can see that.
No, I find that too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, years ago, someone, I can just call, I can just talk, and blah blah blah. Yeah, well, yeah, those things don't always work. I don't think as well as they're supposed to, or as well as some would like people to believe, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, I've heard of people, but because the computers got all that kind of stuff too, and I've heard people say, boy, it's wonderful unless I get a cold or I get congested or what, then it doesn't recognize me, You aren't my master. Go away. Nothing you says means anything. Yes. Let's see what else is going on here. The news. There's this whole thing that just popped out in the news yesterday. I don't know. I don't know if it could all be a bunch of BS or it could be some really bad business here that I'll talk more about on tomorrow evening's show. But that charges have been filed in Georgia by a lesbian claiming that the police, when she got arrested for some drug possession or whatnot, they were supposed to, part of her fine or sentence or whatever was to do rehab. Instead of taking her to rehab, they actually took her to an ex-gay therapist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. She's filed a lawsuit. The police are saying there's no, it's totally bogus, that they didn't do that, blah, 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 blah. So I think it's going to be quite interesting to see if more comes out of this,
Yeah, I would be interested to read more about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's kind of interesting. The story is basically, but there is a lawsuit. I mean, I've actually seen the paperwork was on the article that showed, the paperwork for the lawsuit. So we'll see if anything comes out, because I was in shock when I read it that they would, do such a thing. I mean, because we'll see. We'll see if any. It sounds a little fishy on one side. So who knows? It might be totally bogus for all I know. But I was in shock when I read it. That's for sure. Bizarre stuff.
Well, that's kind of like me going to a therapist and them telling me that I shouldn't be transgendered.
Who told you that?
Oh, I've had 2 therapists tell me that.
Oh, really?
Trying to talk me out of being transgendered.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Like I have any control over that whatsoever.
And of course, you changed therapist quickly thereafter.
Yeah, very quickly. After giving them a piece of my mind, and believe me, I may sound all nice and innocent on the radio, but I have a tendency to tell people exactly what's on my mind when they upset me, and I can be very verbal and very suggestive, telling them exactly what they can do with their selves. So yes.
Good, because that's I think that's craziness there.
Yes.
You know, on one side I can see, well, if you weren't transgender, you wouldn't be so stressed, and you wouldn't have whatever. That's that's not an option. We're not talking about something that's a choice here.
Right. Well, me being transgender has absolutely nothing to do with me being bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
It has absolutely nothing to do with my depression. It has nothing to do with it whatsoever. If anything, that's a high point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
My world has opened up so much since I came out to everybody around me, and since I've been true to myself. It's opened up. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how much more rich my life is because of who I am.
Yeah, I think what people don't understand, and what was a big awakening for me, was that time that you told me that all my life I've looked in the mirror and the reflection I see isn't what I know I am, and
right.
That was an awakening moment for me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it still is. It used to be considered classified as gender identity disorder, which is a form of identity disorder. Again, it's like you said, looking in the mirror and not recognizing what you're seeing or knowing that it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's hard to explain other than that.
Right.
That's bare bones how it is.
Yeah, and that says it all, really. I think, in my mind, anyway.
Right.
If a person, because anyone that can be honest with themselves, and I think that's what so many people these days live a life where of dishonesty, quite frankly. And if you can't be true to yourself, goodness gracious, you probably can't be true to anyone else either.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Because that goes for all of us in the LGBT community. If you can't be true to yourself and be who you are and live, who you are, then you're living a lie, and there is repercussions and harm that you're doing to yourself by living a lie.
Definitely.
Yeah, I remember when I was a closet case. I was like 19, I think, and this guy who was a psychologist told me one time. Evidently, he was gay himself. I don't know if he just wanted to get me in the sack or what, but he told me, he said, Tom, if you don't accept the fact that you're homosexual, by the time you're 30, 35 years old, you're either going to be dead or in an insane asylum. Mm-hmm. So of course, I accepted it when I was 26. So, actually a little before that, but told my family when I was 26. So, I don't know, if his premonition would have came true or not, but I wouldn't doubt it, because, I think that's what pushes a lot of people finally to being honest with themselves and being open about who they are, is there comes a breaking point, it's either do or die.
That's where I was.
Right.
That's exactly where I was. And even after that point, I tried to live a normal life. I have 3 beautiful children because I tried. So, I'm not sorry that I tried to live a normal life, but, again, it got to the point where, like you said, it came to a breaking point where I knew that if I hadn't, become true to myself, if I hadn't, began to transition, I wouldn't be here right now.
Right.
And I knew that. One way or another. I mean, seriously, it's like just the physical damage that you do to yourself by not being true to yourself. The stress, the depression, the abusiveness to yourself by not being true to yourself.
Yeah, and like George says in the chat room, it's living 2 lives, and it's basically enough drama living 1 life, much less living 2.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, oh my goodness, we've all been there. You got to remember the lies. Who knows? Who doesn't? What you've told, and blah 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 blah. So yeah, that's craziness.
Right?
It's a lot easier just to live honestly.
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is. I mean, for the longest time, the only person who knew was my soon-to-be ex. And, they knew about it before we even got married. So, I don't know. So it's like I was lying to everybody else in my life, including myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's not good. Never.
Yeah.
I mean, even,
And some people saw right through it. And some people knew. They could just tell by, who I was, by the way I acted. And most people weren't. Most people didn't know.
I hear you. Oh, goodness, I'm getting worried about Cisco and Rob, man. I hope they're okay, man. I hope nothing bad happened.
Oh, me too.
This isn't like them, to just not call, just be a no-show. Wow, yeah, not like them at all. I hope everything's okay. I'll.
Well, they weren't supposed to do an interview or something today, were they?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of, and I don't. I didn't check my. That might be my problem right there. I didn't look at my email this morning, so I bet there's an email sitting in there telling me why.
That's why you need to use a cell phone, a smartphone. My phone tells me the second an email goes in my box, it tells me.
Well, my computer tells me, but I sleep all night, so I don't see all that stuff. Let me see if I got any notes from them here explaining, and then we'll all be. Nope, I don't see no notes to them about it. Let's see here.
Okay, well, give me 8 hours. I'll go knock on their door and see if they're okay.
I'm sure that something's going on with them. I'm sure. Who knows? There might be some pride event or something that they found out at the last minute about or something like that. Who knows? It might be payback, because they did that interview. I think it was last Sunday with Tyran, and. And I was editing it the other day, and they tried to call me at the beginning of the interview, and I had totally forgot that I was supposed to be available for that interview as well in case I had questions.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it might just be payback. I might be getting payback here.
Oh, that's like me. If I don't write something down, forget it. I'm so scatterbrained at times.
Well, sometimes with Cisco and Rob, we end up talking about so much stuff, that I just spaced it out. I spaced it out, man, and I was going to apologize to him today on the show, but let's see, George is calling it. Let's see what George from Long Beach, California has to say. He's probably got some goodies to share with us or something. George always has something to say. Welcome, George.
Hey guys, you guys have been talking about some good stuff. I've been out trying to.
Hi, George.
Hi. I was so proud of you when you were saying that how you tell people about themselves, because that's a sign that you're self-loving. So that means
I just can't keep anything in anymore.
That's it. Tell the people what you think. Because if you don't, you have something important to say, and somebody else younger or that might not have enough chutzpah to hear it, you have a valid point. Say it. You count.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. People don't always get that.
No. You only stress yourself out more by holding something in, by biting your tongue.
Absolutely. Then I was listening to all of this nonsense which you guys were talking about earlier before, and I wanted to call in, but I was kind of watching because I heard them coming with the hedges, so it was on. I had to kind of listen and dart in and out. But I'm beginning to wonder. I listen to the people, and they want to tell you that the sovereign citizenship movement is a bad thing. But when you listen to what they're talking about, just the learning of your constitutional rights, some states are doing things that are absolutely egregious. How dare they lose their mind to tell you that you cannot be what you, like you said, Jamie, you looked in the mirror and you saw something that was not what you should be. So how am I supposed to tell you that you can't be that? That's not, I'm not living your life or
Exactly.
anybody else. So therefore, how can you make a law that's repugnant to the Constitution of the United States that says that I have life, liberty, and happiness? I know I served in the military, and to me, I take that very seriously. Now, I might sound kind of like one of those sovereign citizen type people, but I'm not. I'm just a gay black man. So what am I supposed to do? Hide? Are you supposed to hide? I don't think so. I think that we are the people. We should be included.
Oh, no, I don't hide at all. And I'm in an area where most people would. I refuse to hide. You know, people don't like me for who I am. That's their problem. It's not mine. And if they make it mine, then, you know, then I deal with it.
You know, I found myself rather at shock when my brother made issue of it with me because it was so old hat. And I was like, how could you miss? How could you miss it? But then for him to say such blatantly, I figured that it had to come from his wife because his wife was the one that had to call me a pervert. But the end result of it is that besides that aside, I don't care. And like I told her when she did say that to me, I don't give a flying what you think about me. You know, and I just deleted the explicative. Because,
Thank you.
but you can very well figure out what I said. It was the F-bomb. So the bottom line is that, you know, no. Those folks in Tennessee got another thought coming to them. They got it all twisted. See, they're trying to take us back before 1871. And I'm quick to quote U.S. title for you. U.S. Title 18, 241 and 242 are your hate crime codes. They qualify us as of 2009 to use the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871. Yes, they're similar, but we can fight them because we have law now.
Yep.
Right, exactly.
So when I hear these people doing such heinous things, it's more important than ever that we follow Harvey Milk that said, tell your neighbor, tell a friend, tell everybody, because it's very important, because it's not just us that are under attack, because as Martin Luther King would say, if one was oppressed, all are oppressed.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, I say, you know, we have to try to do our best to keep our issues out there, especially in Pride Month. You know, we're coming into June. Yes, it's Memorial Day. I'm glad to see that we're saluting the veterans, of which I am one, and I am reflecting on that. But I think about the liberty of all the men and women that served, like my great uncle, Lacey McRimmon, who was a veteran, who also a cross-dresser. So, and he was born in 1902. So, you know, you got to go back, and here you go. When we were talking earlier in the chat room, and you guys were talking about the similarities of the South and the racism and the sexism that go on, you know, I would invite all Southern women to simply close their legs to the men that are in the Senate, since they want to take it all off the board. Because the main one that it affects, the main big person has been the female that has gotten all the protections from what we have fought for. So if they really want to get down to the revolution and you want to say to people about defending your rights, just simply say no to your husband. Those are the women in the Senate, because they're the ones that are going to be affected. And if they don't realize it, just go back. If race, sex, what else? What was the other classification, Tom, that they outlawed?
Race, sex, and religion.
Yes, race, sex, and religion.
Yeah. Okay, so once you outlaw that, what happens to all the women?
Mm-hmm.
And that covers the double minority right there. So, you know, I found that power out because I was at the Reagan Library, and the day that the proposition against race was struck down here, the one that was written by Mr. Bell here, Proposition, I think it was 213 or something like that. But the day that that was taken up, Mr. Gingrich was here, then Speaker of the House, and Mrs. Reagan and her friends were all around him telling how this this proposition had to be repealed immediately. They were demanding it. And the reason why suddenly dawned on me, a learning moment, was because they were the biggest benefactors of it. So that's how I had come to realize that, you know, sometimes I don't think that people realize the divisiveness that they go through, but they're actually harming themselves. It's about being true to yourself, and people don't do that because they don't put a face to reality.
Hey, George. George, I got something to share with you because I know it's going to light you up, and I know you're going to have something to say about this. So, you remember we talked not too long ago about Harry Jackson? You know, the preacher from Maryland or somewhere up there, the one that's running for Senate.
Oh yeah.
He just in the last couple of days he gave a public speech somewhere. I don't remember where it was, but he basically publicly stated that Martin Luther King Jr. would not be for marriage equality.
Excuse me? How would he know that? The man's dead.
Yeah.
Mrs. King came out and said that it was wrong to mistreat people.
Well, you know, I'm glad you brought that up.
Right, now, Loretta. Now, her daughter says the same thing Mr. Jackson says.
Mm-hmm.
The daughter and mother disagree.
Yep, daughter and mother disagree.
But, you know, the bottom line is that, number one, I wouldn't believe that, because if we really want to get down to it, when we look at the March on 63, the March on 63 was the vision of a gay black man named Baynard Rustin. And he worked very closely with King. So I'm sorry, I wouldn't buy into that.
Yeah, I don't either. And Coretta Scott King said, I mean, not just once, not just twice, not three, not four, but 6 times that I'm aware of in my notes here where she was in support of the LGBT community.
Exactly.
And stated that Martin Luther King Jr. would also be for support of the LGBT community.
Exactly. He worked very close. He worked very closely with Baynard. I'm sorry, Jamie. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
No, but he worked very closely with Baynard Rustin, and without Baynard Rustin and A. Philip Randolph in the African American community, we would not have had the March on Washington. The one in 1963, I Have a Dream.
Yep.
So for folks to think that he would not have been, or try to malign Dr. King like that, you know, I don't see it. I don't see how he gets away with it unless he just plays off of people's ignorance.
Yeah.
You know, because because I'm black, I'm qualified to say this. No, you're not. And,
Nope.
you know, I mean, I'm not attacking him because of his race, because I'm African American myself. I'm just saying, you cannot put words into someone's mouth who's been dead for over 40 years. And his writings and everything else talk about the liberties of the individual.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we treat people like they are supposed to be treated off of the content of their character, then we would have a better society. But we don't. We have our Congress that seems to be out of control. We got a woman named Michelle Bachmann who has a minister praying for her group, that's telling to kill all the gays. But
Mm-hmm.
she wants to tell Barack Obama about sitting up under Jeremiah Wright, who's just said the same thing that Martin Luther King said 1 year before he was killed with the Vietnam War. He made a 15-second soundbite, what we got from the rest of the media, took it out of context, and saying to America, when you do bad things comes home to roost to you. You can't just think that you can go around harming people and harm doesn't come back, because it does.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that I don't love my country. All I'm saying is that we have to live responsibly with one another. We have a right to be happy and to be who we are and to be at peace with one another. But we don't have the right to infringe on other people or have other people infringe on our right to be who we are. You know, that's what freedom and liberty is all about. You know, I don't mean to wave the flag, but the fact of the matter is, you know, we have always been here in society, you know, as gay people. We've made major contributions, and yet they want to mistreat and malign and treat us as though, you know, we're subhuman, and we're not.
No, that's for sure. I mean, even when one of the things Coretta said back in 1994, when she was basically the black community was telling her that it isn't right for the LGBT community to compare their struggle to the African American civil rights movement, and Coretta basically would quote her husband and say what Martin said: "I have worked too long and hard against segregated public accommodations to end up segregating my moral concern. Justice is indivisible."
That is correct.
Yes, it is.
You know, it's amazing.
Yeah, she was very supportive, very, very supportive of our community. I mean, even her personal assistant was a gay man. And of course, Bayou Rustin, you know, if it wasn't for him, like you said, I mean, he's the one that did all the organization around the buses, providing cots and places for people to sleep, sandwiches. He organized all of that part of it.
Exactly. You know, so for people, and then he was not quiet. He was not quiet about it. But the only thing that I didn't agree with his political philosophy was that he was an avowed communist. That part, I give him the freedom to be whoever he wanted to be. I just did not agree with the political philosophy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But everything that he brought to this country to help us to explore equality for the individual is a very, very, very unique thing. And if someone can bear that stigma and stand up to people like Joe McCarthy, come through that era and still bear the title of communist, that had to be some chutzpah in a person. Now, I never got a chance to meet Bernard Baynard Rustin himself, but you know, the fact of the matter is, you know, to be someone like that, it had to probably be a very healing experience to have them as a friend. You know,
Mm-hmm.
to actually know and spend time with and get to know, and because that type of character, oh, that's inspiring.
Yeah, and he spoke at that same microphone too, where MLK gave his "I Have a Dream" speech. Before MLK spoke, Bayard Rustin actually spoke at that very same podium.
Yeah. Well, for him, A. Philip Randolph.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was quite a bit that happened there, because even Mahalia Jackson was responsible for telling Martin Luther King, tell him about the dream, because he was going to stop the speech. That was something that he was going to stop. He was going to stop, and Mahalia Jackson said, Martin, tell him about the dream. Tell him about the dream. That was the part that got the "I Have a Dream" speech that we play so much.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't look at the full speech, because he brought a check to America that day, a check that was marked with insufficient funds.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and he really took America to task and let them know that, you got to release this racial disparity. And so, in order to get the check cashed, he told them about the dream. He laid it out for them. This is what you have to do. We still have a lot of work because it's in the African American community. I often hear people say, I hate when they compare it to the black movement. But they don't even realize that it was partially the black movement that started the race riot, that started the riots for us at Stonewall. If you were hidden in race, if you were white, you could go back into hiding. Okay, because you put on a suit, you look like a guy, you could possibly get away if you can pull yourself together enough and add a little steel to it and, get out. Because back then you could not wear women's clothes publicly. So you had a good chance of possibly getting out if you were lucky. But that was a pay-to-play thing. That's where the hat came in on the bar. But beyond that, you could do that. Those that couldn't were often the ones who were at the lower end of the totem pole. Black and Hispanic, sometimes working, sometimes not, that could be there along with the white mix. Now, this is the Village, this is New York, and everybody came there. So when you look at it from that standpoint, you had a good mix. They always took minorities to jail. Okay? That's historic in New York. So we know that that's the case. So imagine what they would do to the gay person.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we don't often think of that, but this is not too long ago we're talking about. We're talking about within our lifetime, some of us. So the thing is that when you know the history of where we come from and the work that we've gained thus far, but the work that we have to do because of places like Tennessee,
yep,
and Minnesota, where Michelle Bachmann is from, who has gay preachers that says it's okay to kill us.
You heard she announced now that she's running for president.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, no. She's a disaster. I wish people are so hyped up. This is something else. As a registered Republican, this is my 2 cents on my Republican people that I look at. With Sarah Palin, I wish she'd go somewhere and sit down. Okay? Because I don't really have confidence when she gets up to speak. Number two, when I see people like Michelle Bachmann, from what she's done from the veterans, I've had to this year had to stem the tide to her talking about cuts to veterans' benefits. And then she said she was just running it up the poll to see if she could get it through. No, you weren't. You didn't serve. So the end result of it is now you've got 2 strikes against you. And she held up farm subsidies for the African-American farmers that hadn't received subsidies, while other farmers, or the white farmers in big corporations, have been getting them since 1976. She was trying to say that there was fraud involved, even though they had been working closely with Congress, with the Congressional Black Caucus for a number of years. So the end result of it is I have serious reservations about Ms. Bachmann. I mean, I'm sorry, and I have serious reservations about Ms. Palin, because Ms. Palin does worry me at times because she seems a bit myopic. And when I say myopic, I mean from the standpoint she never addresses once anyone outside of her community, like a gay person.
As if there's none in her community. No.
Yes, exactly. In that little town called Wasilla, but she's trying to move to Arizona. What's that about?
Well, isn't that where her daughter moved? Her daughter bought a house down there.
Oh, so now they're becoming the Arizona Palins, huh?
I guess. or she bought her daughter a house. I'm not sure about all the details on it, but I know her daughter, and this is the daughter, I believe, is she got one daughter or 2 daughters?
She's got 2, I thought.
2, yeah. I think this is the one that got pregnant out of wedlock,
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was hilarious.
You know, she's going to talk about that she would not want to teach, about sexuality in school
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because she thinks that, children should abstain in abstinence. Well, again, if you want me to listen to you, let me follow an example or try to follow an example. But then when you have a daughter that comes up pregnant and then it okays it, because after that, that's when we started hearing about the packs of girls becoming pregnant in the high schools. And I think Tennessee, maybe that's why they're trying to stop the talk about sex. Because I think it was Knoxville, they had 90 girls come up pregnant in the same high school.
No, I read a long time ago that the Bible Belt is where the most teen pregnancies happen.
Mhm.
Yeah, but they don't want to talk about sex. They don't want to bring that. They don't want to bring that issue out of the closet because there's too much of it going on.
Yeah, well, they don't understand. That's exactly what's causing the problem. You know? Hey, well, we got 5 minutes left, so we got to wrap up here. Janie. Did you have any closing words?
No, just a quick statement on what he said about the teaching sexuality in school. There we go. It's just teaching sexuality in school isn't about, pregnancy, isn't about having sex. It's about giving them the tools they need to make the proper decisions.
The knowledge,
You
yeah.
know,
Mm.
yeah, it's about giving them the opportunity to understand what's going on with their bodies. It's about giving them a guideline for their life.
Informed decisions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Sorry,
George?
people don't know how to put mufflers on their trucks around here.
In closing, I'm always glad that we can discuss the liberties and different things because people would like to think that our lifestyle is always about the things of decadence. And sometimes, if they would talk to us as a community, they would find out that it's so much more to it. Because just because you see one guy at Gay Pride and chaps with his backside hanging out, that's not what it's all necessarily about. Yes, sometimes it's done for fun and daring, but there's a real side to it too. That's just one aspect of our community because we're very diverse within our community.
Mm-hmm.
But we bring to the American public in our community a challenge for equality. And that's one of the things that I'd like to look at Gay Pride and thank all of my brothers and sisters who are out to say thank you because you give us an example to stand up for the liberty and call America to its goals.
Awesome words, George. I love that. Thanking all of our brothers and sisters that are out. That's yay! I love that one.
It's about pride, honey. Get used to it because we're here. The month is here. The celebration begins. I'm looking forward to the shows that are coming up from New York because they sound exciting. We don't know who we'll get. And I just might go to Pride in Los Angeles. So we'll see what we can get.
Cool. All right, you two. Well, I'm going to mute you two down. I'm just going to tell everybody here real quick. I want to thank George and Janie for being with us here today. I want to thank everybody for spending a little time with us today and remind you, as always, that we are all one human family. And I just ask simply that you try to love your brothers and sisters. We'll see you again next time.
I love you, and you, and you. Oh, and you too. And don't forget him. I love her, and him, and her, and him, and him, and her. I love you all.
Adios. Have a nice trip. Bon voyage. Farewell to thee. That's all, folks.
We'll leave
leave the light on for you.